Okay, here we go. This is our first follow-up video on the Panga, 22-foot Amenza Panga. So, waiting for some trailer parts. We're going to service the trailer. Trailer's got to get you to the boat ramp and get you back. So, I'm going to do this kind of really fast because otherwise it's going to be a stupid long video. Should be able to change the trailer hub in about 5 minutes, but I've already done the other side and there's going to be issues, and I'll show you what they are as I go. So I'm just going to dive right into it. First off, jack your trailer up. Always jack it up close to the wheel as possible. If you put out in the middle of your axle somewhere, you're going to bend it. Not good. So I got right behind the tire, right on the axle. Okay, we got that up. So I've already checked these. The other side was bad, bad, bad. This side is not bad, but I got 2 new hubs. You get a complete hub kit at your local trailer shop, or at least I do here, West Coast Trailer. A little plug for them. It's $55. It comes with everything. All the bearings, it's greased, it's packed. It doesn't pay to mess around and beat the races out and on and on and on. You get the whole hub kit, comes with lug nuts, everything. But to check your hub, a lot of people shake the tire. Yeah, if it shakes real bad, you got a problem. But you just spin it. And if you hear any rumbling or grinding or anything that's bad, you know you got to change it. I've got my hand on the fender. I don't hear real good anymore. A lot of times you'll just feel a rumbling bearing. You'll know you got a problem. But I got 2 new hubs. Already done the other side. I'm going to do this side. We're just going to dive right into it. It should be a 15-minute job, but it's going to take longer because I already know the problems I'm going to foresee. Most trailer lug nuts are all 13/16 in size. Some are 3/4, but most are 13/16. And that's it. You got the tire off. Now this is just a basic hub. It don't have no brakes, no nothing. Just your basic hub. This is where it gets real easy. We're not saving this. We got a brand new one. Just take your hammer, knock that cap off. It's a $2 cap. It's not worth saving. Alright, most of these trailer, this is the nut right here. This one's got a cage on it. This one's made by Dexter Axle. Oh yeah, keep a couple of rags with you. A couple of rags you never want to use again. So the way this works, most of them have a castle nut with a cotter key going through, so your nut can't spin off. This one's got this cage that surrounds the nut, and I'll pop that off for you. You can see your axle's got a flat side in it, and the little cage has got a flat, and that's what keeps the nut from popping off. Just that easy. We're just going to pop that off. That's all there is to it. That's what holds that nut from backing off. See how easy that is? That's why these videos take so long. Alright, now this, see, I can just take that off of my finger. When you're putting these back on, they don't have to be real tight. You tighten one down until it gets hard to turn, you back it off till the hub comes free, and that's it. That's where you want to be. Too tight, your bearing will heat up, and you'll stop going down the road. And that's bad. So far this one looks good, and it was quiet. But I said I bought 2 new hubs. I'm putting them both on there. I ain't messing around. So I got that off. I got my cage off. And you just pull this hub straight off. There's a washer in here, so get ready to catch that. Boom, there's the washer and the outside bearing. And you know, it looks a little dark and brown and yucky in there, so I'm thinking this was a good call. All this is going in the garbage. Just like that. The only thing I'm saving is my washer, my nut, and my retaining cage. Here's where your old rags come in handy. You just wipe all the goo off. You want to start off clean, clean, clean. Everything's got to be clean. And people always look at the top and go, oh yeah, that looks great. But on the bottom is where all the real grime and stuff gets. So make sure you take the time to really get that good. Now this one isn't near as bad as the other side. But I'm going to do the same job to it because I know it's going to need it. And what that is, where this seal rides, here's where your outside bearing rides. On this one it's 3,500 pound axle, so this is 1 1/16. Your inside bearing rides here, that's 1 3/8, and your seal rides up on the upper hump here. Now on this upper hump, this one looks pretty clean, and it would be fine for another year, but I'm living here on the Gulf Coast and we got really bad salt water. A little trivia for you. I think the Gulf of Mexico is the third saltiest body of water in the world. It's bad. So they've machined this, and they just machined it right on up for the seal surface. You can see where it's a little shiny. But there's no stainless steel sleeve here or nothing. You can see it starting to rust. It's worse on the bottom. I can feel it with my fingers. So in another year, that'll rust enough where I don't care, even with a brand new seal, it's going to leak. And then you get salt, grease can come out, water can come in, and then you got bad bearings and you're broke down on the side of the road and you're hating life. So they sell these stainless steel sleeves, and you can see that's the same size as what that is. So right now it's not going to go on. This is a machine size, but it's thin. It don't take much. So I've got my angle grinder out here with a flapper disc on it, and I'm just going to run this off all the way around enough where I can get this started, and then I'll show you how we get them on. But right here you can see that little hole. That's where the grease comes out when you grease this axle. And your grease fittings in the end, it's a real good system. They call it Super Lube or Posi Lube. It don't matter whoever's building the axle, but it's real good. When you grease your axle, it pushes the grease through the bearings, back out through the cap in the front, and it's keep your hub full. You'll never have problems. So I'm going to dive right into machining this off a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm taking this flapper disc, and you want to make sure you hold it real good and flat, and you got to get on there all the way around. And you got to just take off a little bit of material on that. Not a ton, but enough where you can get that little sleeve on there. Alright, so here's where I put on my safety glasses because sparks fly everywhere. Where's your safety glasses, assistant? Let me go get you some glasses. Okay, I had to get some safety glasses for the assistant. Alright, here we go. So you can see I'm going to start all the way around. I'm just going to try to go even as much as I can all the way around this thing and keep that flat on there while I'm going. Okay, that's pretty good, but I'm going to go a little more. But when as you're going, you're going to see that can just you don't want it to slide on there. It's got to be tight. But right now, that'll never go. If you try to put that on now, it'll split that sleeve. So I'm going to take off more. Okay, I'm feeling for make sure I don't have any grooves cut into it that I didn't mess up there. It's feeling pretty smooth all the way around. I'll try this again. Still a little too tight. Gonna go another time around. Feel like I got a little knot in there on the bottom side. It's easy to not see what you're doing. I'm going to get a little more in there. It's going pretty good. It's a little too tight. Got to make sure you get enough to get it started. That's real close. You can see it'll almost stay on by itself, but I can see it's A little tall still, got to go just a little bit more. You're not taking off as much material as you think you are. Next time you take this trailer to a shop and you tell you it took an hour to do your wheel bearings, you'll know why. It's always something. It's always something. All right, so I'm ready. So here's my sleeve, and you're saying, well, how the heck are you going to get that on here? Well, this is where it comes in. What I've done is I've taken apart an old bearing out of the last hub. This is a inside of a 1 3/8 bearing. So I know that fits perfect over my hub right there. It's just that's it. That's the inside bearing. That was there. So I'm going to put this on there. I'm going to get my inside bearing and get it started. And you'll know when this is perfect because there won't be no gap anywhere. Now you know it's going to go straight. And I got a little piece of pipe I'll put on that. And I'm going to hit that with a hammer, and you'll actually watch that stretch on there. But before we do that, these sleeves don't come with a hole in them for where your grease comes out. So I'm going to mark that with this Sharpie right here. Because usually they have the hole up on top. And you got to know where that's at so you can punch it through with an ice pick. I use, in the mechanics world, we call that an awl. On these Dexter axles, it actually comes out at that front edge. So once I get that sleeve on there, you'll be able to see that hole. But here we go. And what you do, you want to lubricate that a little bit. I got a little spray corrosion inhibitor here. I'm going to spray on that. And that's going to make that sleeve go in there a little better. This isn't science. A lot of times you'll split one of these sleeves, and if you do, it's $6, whatever. That's the way it happens. I'm going to get that in there. I'm going to get that started. I know I got that just turning it a little bit, and you know it's good and straight. Stand over here for a minute. I got a little block of wood because this is a pretty thin piece of pipe I came up with, but it's all I had. I'm just going to hold that pipe on there. I'm going to get this thing started. You've got two sides of your bearing now. You've got a flat on the back side, and on the inside it's coned a little bit. I always get it started with the flat. Get that little whack with my hand, just because it feels so good. Now you can see it actually went on already, about a 1/4 inch almost. So now I get out the little mini sledge, and you can see that's already starting to stretch out on there. Back it off and look at it. Okay, we got to go a little further. It's always something. These bearings are a perfect fit, obviously, so if it turns on you just a little bit, they'll go either direction. Okay, that's why I like to spin them when I put them on there. All right, here we go. We're better than halfway already. Oh yeah, that's it. We're home. I can see my hole. So now I'm going to turn this bearing around. It's got a little rounder, and it's just going to take that little edge off of there. Not to mention the pipe will fit a lot better this way. Alright, so there's my high-tech tool, an old bearing, an old piece of pipe. You can see I can still see my hole there. Here's my awl I brought to knock a hole in it. But you can see right there on these Dexter axles, it comes out right there. So no worries at all. So now I've been doing all this work. The last thing you want is dirt in there. So I'm going to hook my grease gun up and I'm going to blow some fresh grease. And you'll see it come out of that hole. See there? That came out nice and clean. So we know we're good. The system's not plugged up. Oh, a little plug to Milwaukee too. They make this grease gun that works on the 18-volt batteries. And oh my God, this is the best money I've ever spent. This thing, I don't know how many PSI it pumps. It's incredible. And, sitting there pumping the old grease gun. If you do any amount of grease on anything, get one of these. I don't care what it costs. It's worth it. Alright, so I'm just rubbing a little grease around here where the seal's going to go on. We don't want anything to tear. Everything's smooth. I'm checking, make sure I don't got no boogers, nowhere. It all feels good. Alright, somewhere around here. Here's my hub kit. West Coast trailer. I think it's $56 or something like that. It's the whole kit. It comes with everything. It's already put together. It's already greased up. It's galvanized. So when you're dealing with salt water, you can't do better than that. They're in Gasparilla, in Port Charlotte. So here's my hub. Comes with a new cap, all new lug nuts. They give you a new cotter key. If this was a castle nut, you'd put the cotter key through the hole to keep your nut from turning. I won't be needing that, but you can see the hub's already put together. It's already greased up. Seal's installed. I always take a little bit of that grease and I make sure it's in the seal lip surface there, just because. And all you do, just hold them outside bearings so they don't pop out on you and push it straight on. You remember that inside bearing? Remember, if it turned a little bit, it didn't want to go, so hold it good and straight. Get it on there. That's it. That thing's on. These aren't bad at all. A lot of times I go to the parts washer and get them really clean, but these were really, this side wasn't near bad like the other side. So there's my washer with the flat. It matches the axle. Got my flat on. The nut's just a nut in this case. It doesn't have no holes for the cotter key because we got the retaining cage on this one. You can get this most of the way on finger tight as long as everything's good and you didn't really blow out a hub. I've seen some bad ones. And I'm not got no big special wrench yet. I think it's 1 inch if you wanted to use it, but just a pair of channel locks. Like I said, this isn't going to be real tight. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten it down just in case I got a race that isn't seated. This will get any extra. So that's pretty tight. That hub doesn't want to turn, but not so tight. I only did it with channel locks. Now I'm just going to back off. And you'll feel that nut, it just comes free. You want it just almost where you can get it back with your fingers. And you can see my hub's turning nice now. It's all good. So just that little bit of tension. It's not like a car bearing. You don't have no preload in there or nothing. If you get these too tight, your bearings will run hot. Not good. So there's my flat. There's my flat. I'm lining that up. Looks like I got to back off just a smidge to make this one line up, and that's okay. A smidge loose is better than too tight. Nope, a little smidge too far. Just tap that on. And that's it. We just changed the hub. Now here comes the part. If you don't have one of these specialty tools, you'd be hating life. Put your new cap back on. If you can find a piece of pipe that fits right over that, let's see if this does. No, I didn't think so. This is a cap installation tool. Man, oh man, I can't say enough about that. Get that on there. Get it lined up just really nice. Really good and straight, because you can't mess around with it. You got to give it a good whack. Boom, there's my cap. Now we take our Milwaukee grease gun. Boy, wouldn't it be nice if they send me some money. Put it on there, and this is going to fill the hub from the back. Oh, you're going to watch the grease. It's going to come back out the front. Here it comes. All right, so now that hub is 100% full of grease. No air in there whatsoever. If there's no air, there's no room for water to get in. And now here I just wipe off just a little bit. You want a little room for expansion with the heat. And I take that extra grease and I always rub it on my lug studs. No, they won't come loose. And I do this because, remember that little trivia, the Gulf of Mexico is the third saltiest body of water in the world. No matter how bad these lug nuts rust, if you grease the threads, they'll come off. And you won't have to get your cutting torch out and everything else. Be cursing, saying words you're not supposed to be saying. Just take a little grease, wipe on that box. I'll probably need that. And then we put a little cap in there. I always run a little bit in that groove, just I like to make sure that the salt water doesn't get in there, and that kind of seals that up a little bit. And push that in there, and then if you turn it, it really gets it good. All right, I don't know why I bought that little extra grease, and I got this corrosion inhibitor, this heavy-duty corrosion inhibitor. This is good stuff. I'm going to be running aluminum wheels on here, and the aluminum wheels will get electrolysis with the galvanized hub. So you spray a little corrosion inhibitor on there. Don't worry about what it looks like, because rust is uglier. And this will keep it from rusting in here, and if you ever have the aluminum wheels, they'll come off as well. Spray a little on them caps, because they're just little zinc caps, and they'll go to rust too. He said it's not pretty, but it's better looking than rust. I spray a little extra on the lug nut things because it's salt water. On the back side where your stubs come through, I always spray a little on there, because that's something that's not galvanized. Your stud's got to be grade 8 for the hardness. And that's that. That's that. We're done. Got 5 new lug nuts. We're going to put these on here. I'll show you a little lug nut trip a lot of people don't know. It's nothing overly difficult, but it's important. Okay, I got my tire on. If you get any little dirt off your rim rubber, make sure you get that off. That'll booger up a lug nut. All right, I'm going to get all my lug nuts started here. Just a word to the wise. When you're putting your lug nuts on, get a couple turns and stop. Don't spin them all the way on with your fingers. You know, if I get called away, I get sidetracked or whatever, and I come back and I can look in a glance and say, oh, I never tightened them lug nuts up. If you spin them all the way on your fingers, then you don't know that they're not tight. And you're like, oh yeah, and then next thing you know, you drive down the road, your tire falls off. I'm going to spray some of this corrosion inhibitor right in there on them threads. No, they won't come off. Promise you. Now when you tighten your lug nuts, do it in a star pattern. You don't get tight first, you just barely snug it. Straight to the other side. Back to the other side. Back to the other side. After you snug them up in your star pattern, now you can go around and just give them a little extra. That's it. So now we got 2 new hubs. We can go anywhere we want safely, I hope. I'll be getting new tires. These are old. This is a 2019 trailer tires. Suck. I'll be straight honest with that. So I'll actually be putting some truck tires on here. But anyways, step number 1. Have a great day.